Kaylee was a breath of fresh air. She took on this cancer just with such a good spirit, and she got tough fast, but extremely well-read and investigative about what was going on, but yet always looking for when she was going to get better and what her life was going to be like after she gets through treatment and has cancer behind her. A friend of mine that I worked at university with emailed me and said, there's an organization, and she said they are looking for new families, and they help families with pediatric cancer, a child with pediatric cancer. And I said, great, and she pointed me to the website, and the rest is history. We were pretty tired at that point, but at that point she was a senior and just trying to get through school, just had so much going on. And it was great to just be able to have life continue at home as we knew it, like the house getting cleaned and the grass being cut and, you know, food showing up at your door and gas cards, because we were spending hundreds of dollars going to the Children's National Medical Center in DC. I always say it was the game changer.
Fairy Godmother Project has helped families in a lot of different ways, and both of you have helped with that, especially the stuff at the end of life when we help the families by giving them a little more time with the child as he or she's dying, but then also helping with celebration of life and the funeral planning and all those things, which is so valuable to the families.
I mean, I've done laundry for families, I've helped with the celebration of life, helping to get volunteers people needed. Donations, we always have such a huge outpouring of donations for food, paper products, whatever is needed, stuff like that.
Yeah. And my space is to help with celebrations of life and set up and making sure the wishes of the family are followed as far as putting pictures, setting food up, corralling volunteers to do things, and mainly recently making sure that the parents and the siblings have what they need and they're not inundated with too many people wanting a piece of them during that time.
Which is huge, really important. I think that's one thing that we do well is sort of serve as a barrier for the families, so that the people that are wanting to help, we give them easy ways to help.
Rather than go to the families,
which is really important.
So much. Right.
Because lots of times I think the biggest gift we can give a friend of the family is give them a job. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the biggest gift we can give the parent is not having to deal with those people that want to help, because it's too much for them emotionally to handle.
After Kaylee died, we became part of a new bereavement group. We have now the new normal, so it's easier for me to think about kind of the program we're in now with FGP, the Stargazers program. It's helped us connect to other families that we never thought we'd have friends that have children that died. It's about talking about our children and ourselves and our families.
This program itself was started because of an experience that I was given from Lily Noak's parents. When she was dying, and they asked me to come and be a part of that experience.
Lily was diagnosed at 18 months of age. She was going to the doctors, different hospitals, until she was correctly diagnosed at Children's National in April of 2009 with a grade 3 anaplastic ependymoma. And we were told that she would have 5 years to live. We felt like, oh, we're gonna get through this. We don't need help. We were very naive about that. So for the first 3-4 years, we did this on our own. When Fairy Godmother Project came in and intervened, we realized how much we needed them and how much of an asset they were to our family. There's always the worry that we had, you know, every month of, okay, our bill's always gonna be met this month, and, you know, how sick is Lily this month? Do we have to keep her home? And, you know, they were able to fill in those gaps with us and being able to help with paying for bills that, you know, we may have came up short for. It was a relief, you know, because here we are, we're having to deal with her treatment and then being able to feed our family. And, you know, when FGP came in, they took a lot of that worry away.
always think about Melanie. She and I had talked about Lily's celebration of life and about her eulogy and about her obituary. And then as time went on, and I would say, like, the obituary's due by this day, she'd say, okay, so I can't do that. You're gonna need to write it. Right. Oh, okay. But I knew enough because I'd spent enough time with the family that I was able to. And then same thing with the eulogy. She had talked about it, and her plan had been to deliver it herself. And then when the time came, she just said there was just no way she could do it. But I knew what she wanted, and I was able to write it and do it. And then also just, she had talked about all the memorial type items she wanted. She'd been talking about it for so long because they knew she was dying and they had accepted her death, which is not terribly common with our families. But they realized there was nothing else that could be done. And then being able to do the celebration of life it felt so good to know that during their worst time, their memory would be that we helped them. I mean, there's just nothing better than that, you know, that we were able to provide that love and support for them.
It's a huge privilege too.
It is a privilege.
A lot of times, I mean, there's so many people who are scared of being there in those times, but it's actually such a privilege.
And I never know how to explain that to people, but that's how I always see it, as such an honor. Just to have been invited into their home during the absolute worst time of their lives, and to think that they wanted me to be a part of it.
Jump up and get down. It was so weird. Mom knows it. She knows it.
I really didn't believe he was going to go. The diagnosis that he had at 9 months old, it's the only documented stage 5 rhabdoid tumor ever. And even at stage 3 or 4, they didn't make it. And then he beat it. He beat it again. And then he beat it again. And we had 3 amazing years. So I just thought the kid was invincible, a real superhero. Andy is the fairy godmother. She stepped in and helped plan things that I wouldn't have thought to plan. And she was a tremendous advocate for me when I didn't feel like being one for myself. Josh loved gatherings. He loved parties. And it was close to Halloween. I was like, we should have a superhero gathering to remember him. He would love it. And it came together in such a beautiful way. The building was donated to us, the food was donated to us. Andy took care of all the children's programs and crafts, and DJ popped up. I mean, it was so fun. And there were 450 adults there, and only 4 of them didn't dress up as superheroes. It was really amazing.
I would say the most rewarding thing for me, and I say this all the time, so it sort of feels like silly at this point, but I really believe that in grief is love. And so that's what I see repeatedly. And if you look at every family we support, that's what we're witnessing, is truly this deep, deep love for their child. And I just don't think there's anything greater than witnessing that kind of love.
Absolutely.
That's been the greatest reward for me.
A lot of people see it as them asking for help or needing the help, but they're allowing us into this very personal, private part of their lives, and it's a huge privilege.
It is.
And just the relationships through volunteering with FGP, and business-wise and personally, because I've become friends with so many of the other volunteers too.
Yeah, that's definitely, I mean, I would say it's interesting, the tight circle that develops.
Family dynamic.
Of our volunteers. There really is a family dynamic. And, you know, someone new comes in and we welcome him in. And, you know, we had an event the other night and we were like talking about, we should go to a concert this summer, just get all the FGP volunteers together. But there's a definite connection between people because we're experiencing something that's really intense and having each other to turn to and someone else who understands it. And who also values the same things you do. I think that's the biggest piece, is you're meeting people who value giving back and value relationships and understand grief. And I think it's a good, solid family feeling for real.